All right. Hi, everyone. This is Tran Bowie. All right. We are trying take 3. Due to some technical difficulties with the service, Cristal is actually in the mountains. And so I think it's just been difficult for her to get the service with her phone. But we are trying a different way. This is what happens when you've been in TV news for years. You find a way to rig it. So we're going to FaceTime and get this interview. So Cristal, let's get right back into it. Give us a progress report. I know today we had a glimmer of hope when you talked to the doctors.
Definitely. He's come such a long way. He started out with, they were talking about, in the beginning, they were going to have to put him in a prone position for 16 hours, which means on your belly.
Wow. And,
in order to do that, there's just so much involved. It just didn't seem real that this could be happening to him. And it honestly, with everything that they were telling me, didn't look like he was going to come out of this at all. And now here we are talking about potentially weaning off of the central line, which goes straight. It's an IV, goes straight into your neck, and going to a PICC line, which still goes to a main artery, but. We're taking baby steps forward. It's the 10th day on the vent.
Okay.
Doctors have said, we've seen people go 21 days on a vent and walk out of there. We've seen people go 5 days on a vent and walk out of there. We've seen people come in and not walk out of here. It's every scenario. So we're kind of, getting closer to, they're talking about potentially weaning off of certain things and procedures and not procedures, but things that are in place and switching over catheters and whatever. So it has been harrowing, right. Unbelievable.
And I know, and I think that's what we keep hearing is such a slow process. So you want to give up, but then you realize like this is all part of it, part of the recovery. So as long as we're hearing some kind of progress. So let's go back to when he found out he was sick. Was he just having regular symptoms like the cold?
Yep, pretty much. Pretty much not a fever to speak of necessarily. In fact, he was low some of the times that I took his temperature early on. I think around the 19th of March, he started feeling kind of crappy, and we just kind of, did what we do and pumped him full of fluids and made him sleep, and I made him cancel a couple of appointments and whatever, and he had a little bit of a cough. It's the same cough I've heard before when it was just a yucky cough for a few days, and he got over it. Everything is, hindsight is just unbelievable, and it's also kind of cliche. Hindsight's 20/20, but it's the fact of the matter is I was blissfully ignorant, and the bliss left. Like with many things, with lacrosse and football, I don't know what all goes into these things, and I'm kind of blissfully ignorant. I'm there to be of service. With this, I don't know. I reserved the caution to go towards people that are literally ill with whatever their issues are. With I figured it would be close, like the type 1 diabetes, not type 2 that he's got control over, and blood pressure. If you're, I don't know. I assume that if you're on your medicine, this would not take control of him, but that's not true. It doesn't care. In fact, I've got another friend of mine telling me that the medicine that you take for blood pressure and diabetes and even depression and anxiety has some kind of a component in it that makes the virus stick to your body, stick to your cell.
Wow.
So, there are a lot of theories out there.
Right.
There are a lot of people, naysayers and whatever. And I think I was kind of a naysayer because I was, like I said, reserving my caution towards, staying, lying low for the older people that are like actively sick.
Right, and you don't realize it until it hits close to home or it hits you. So you said that you were able to see him. I know that you're not able to go physically see him, and I know it's even probably difficult for the staff who, obviously is overworked to let you FaceTime him. But you were able to see him in front of a glass window early on.
Before he was intubated, when he was, it was before the test came back positive, all of that. And so I'm very, very lucky that I got to see him and make eye contact with him and have we talked for an hour on the phone through the glass.
And
so
how were his spirits at the time? Did he realize the severity of what was happening?
I think that the severity of it was when we walked into the emergency room. The night before I was, 2 nights before, the night before I was talking to him, I don't even know, they all run together.
Right.
And, they greeted us with a thermometer and some masks. So I think that's when it kind of hit home. He texted me the night that they decided, the night that hospital consulted with Piedmont Athens, so the night that they intubated him and everything, we talked via text only because he couldn't speak. Up until then, he could speak on the phone, just not a lot because he had a thing up his nose and everything, whatever. The severity of it, I saw it in the text. He said, I'm much worse. I said, what are they doing for you? And he said, they're just giving me oxygen, but they may move me to ICU and maybe put me on a ventilator.
Wow.
And at that point, I didn't realize, is a ventilator intubation? I've learned all of this stuff quickly.
Right. And how has this affected you emotionally? Because I know that you also have children. So you're trying to make sure that your husband's taken care of and also taking care of your children. And somewhere in there, maybe yourself as well.
Emotionally, it has been, as anyone would imagine, just a roller coaster, an absolute roller coaster, worrying about my kids' mental well-being, their physical well-being. We all had a touch of symptoms. We're convinced, and the doctors are convinced that we all had it. We had no sense of taste or smell for days. I had a low-grade fever for 3 days, 2.5 days. A lot of tightness and not congestion, just tightness and pain in my chest, in my back.
Right.
I was worried. I'm still worried about how this is going to affect them no matter the outcome. And the support that our community has given us is comforting to the nth degree. I cannot imagine, I can't imagine having to do this without my Roswell family.
Aww.
So it's just been, I thought I was going to walk out of here with no husband, really, truly. It was awful, the things that they were having to get permission to do to him, calling me every 15 minutes, the first, 2 hours of him being transferred.
At this point, are you feeling hopeful?
So much more hopeful than in the beginning. It's just been a complete turnaround. We have just better morale all throughout the house with the kids, and we're going fishing again and trying to just pass the hours at this point and play the waiting game with the hospital. So yeah, we're feeling much better.
Right, that has to probably be the toughest. You're always just waiting for that call. Has it been easy for you to get information from the hospital?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes, the nurses have been wonderful. My niece is a nurse at Emory.
Okay.
And she said that in the beginning, when they said no more visitors, they were kind of like, yay, one less thing for us to have to deal with and comfort the loved one, of the patient and whatever. And then it kind of bit them in the butt, so to speak, because it's one more step that they have to do to call us and keep us updated. I set in motion with my ICU team that they do not need to call me for an update unless there's something they need permission for, or if there's something that I need to know right away. They have it in my notes, in their notes for me, that I will call them. The doctor calls me, so the doctor calls me all the time, once a day, and I call the nurses twice a day.
Okay. Well, that's a great way to do that.
They're very understanding.
Well, awesome. Okay, so through this whole process, I would have to ask you, what is that one thing that you learned through this that you would want to share with others? What message do you have?
That's a tough one. There are many. Don't underestimate the power of this virus and the fragility of our lives, of our bodies, I feel like I underestimated it, and I'm kicking myself for it. But also don't go into panic mode. It's a fine line, very delicate. So I don't know what to really answer there, Tran.
No, but until we know somebody who's been impacted by it, it is hard. It is hard to understand. So we do appreciate your honesty and just the realness of this all. I think we do need to hear it and kind of heed the warnings and embrace the moments. So know that the Roswell community is thinking of you, praying for you, caring about you. So I hope that you will wrap all that love around you as you play this waiting game. So thank you all for watching. Sorry about the technical difficulties today, but we appreciate Cristal for being on, and we will have Phil in our thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.